Hey, what's going on, guys? It's March, and today I have three light bowgun sets for you guys. I just want to apologize for calling them builds, because I will do that. Okay, let's get into it. Alright, so the first set that I have for you guys is a one-size-fits-all, works anywhere sort of build. This supports every single ammo type, and it has level 3 normal shots, which can come in pretty handy. So let's get into the actual spec. The light bowgun we're going to be using is the great bowgun, which is the arena bowgun. I've augmented it for attack. This thing has 240 raw. When you augment it for attack, it goes all the way up to 267. I should mention as well, every single bowgun in this build is going to be modded for 2 reload assists plus 1 close range up. Aside from the decent damage raw, this thing has a level 3 jewel slot and plus 20 defense. That'll make you pretty beefy. This thing can make you pretty thick. The armor set I'm going to go for is also going to be pretty standard, and that is the Dragon King eye patch. I know, everyone's shocked. The Dober Male Beta, Kaiser Van Braces, Nergigante Coil, and the Kieran Leg Guards. The Kieran Leg Guards, this is the only set that's going to use them. The other two sets are going to use a different greaves, just to keep that in mind. And now let's go over the jewels. The Dragon King eye patch is outfitted with a spread shots jewel. The chest piece has a piercing shots jewel. The gauntlets have a free element up. Free element slash ammo up to max it out. And then the coil has a maximum might jewel. The boots have 2 spare level 1 slots, so you can fit out with anything you want. I have 2 vitality jewels on it, but you can outfit literally anything here. Divine Blessing's pretty good, but Vitality Jewels are pretty common, and they're pretty useful. They can just fill out whatever. They never go out of value. Now, as a whole, you can see on the side here that we have maxed out attack boost with the help of the attack charm, maxed out free element up, weakness exploit, 2 levels of health boost, normal shots, piercing shots, spread ammo, and maximum might. This is the reason why this is a one-size-fits-all. It boosts every single ammo type. You can go into any expedition and you'll still deal a whole bunch of damage. Now, because I have full stamina and I have the level 4 bonus of attack boost, I actually have 15% affinity right now. Now, when you hit a weak spot, you get 50% affinity. That'll bring it up to 65% affinity. If you wanted to, you can put an affinity booster instead of a mantle, and that'll bring you all the way up to 105% affinity. So you'll crit every single time. That is pretty good. I do recommend taking that into the setup. So yeah, it's pretty decent. Give it a shot. Whether you're trying to get into bowgun, or if you just want a generic, or not generic, but general bowgun set, this is a pretty safe bet. Alright, moving on to the second loadout in this sweaty build series, I guess, is the crit long-range piercing shot build. Now, this is mainly focused on a pierce ammo playstyle, so you want to position yourself in a way that you can hit multiple pieces of the monster, or multiple parts of the monster, sorry, and do the most damage by hitting the weak spots if you can. Of course, this is very situational. But very, very strong when you actually do manage to get those really good shots in. So the weapon we're going to be using is the Karma. This is a really important thing because, well, the Karma has 30% base affinity. I've augmented it for affinity as well, so it has a base affinity of 40%, and then once you get attack boost to level 4, you'll gain an extra 5% affinity, which in turn makes this thing have 45% crit chance raw. Since we have so much crit, I am going to put critical boost on this because, well, you get a whole lot of value. Your crits essentially deal 15% extra damage with maxed out critical boost. If you hit a weak spot, you will crit pretty much every single time. It's 95% crit chance. I feel like I don't have to say this, but it might have to be said. Unless you are playing in a group where no one else has an affinity booster, or they really need the mantles, like, say, longsword players that just need rocksteady and evasion mantles, well, not need, but really like. Don't take an affinity booster with this. There is no red crit system. Critical is just a critical, so it's pretty redundant at that point. So yeah. I know it's kind of obvious, but I've seen things. Now, the armor set is going to be slightly different. Actually, no, it's going to be exactly the same. The only difference is going to be the jewels that I have slotted into this. So the eye patch is going to have piercing shots, and then the chest piece is going to have normal shots into this. The rest are going to be critical jewels. So 3 critical boost jewels, 1 on the coil, 1 on the legs, and then 1 on the chest piece. The attack charm is still there to give us max out attack boost. And the weapon itself has a random ass slot that, again, I've just outfitted with Vitality Jewel. If you don't have this, then just, like I said, fit in anything that you want. So, something I also forgot to mention is that because of the nerd gear, I have maximum might, which gives us 10% affinity. Now, since you literally never have to use stamina, this thing will actually bring you up to 105% affinity whenever you hit a weak spot. That is okay, but if you feel like that's a little too much, you can swap out the boots for the Diablo's boots, which also give you normal shots, and then you can swap out the jewel in the chest piece for a different level 3 jewel. So it's completely up to you, but I think this is probably the best way to go for it, because I'd rather have 100% crit chance than having that little 5% that'll... I mean, it doesn't really matter, it's just personal preference, but just giving you that heads up. But this is the way that I have the build set up, and it works. So, I don't know. Yeah, try it, I guess. A side note that I forgot to mention while I was showing you guys the build is that I still have this thing modded out for close range up. Now, the reason why I have it modded for close range up is because close range up is actually pretty forgiving. The range at which you deal more damage is pretty good, and it still gets affected by piercing shots. So just because you're not super far away from the monster doesn't mean you won't really get a whole lot of benefit from this, because if you are closer to the monster, let's just say he just pounces on you, it's not like you're going to stop attacking immediately and just run away until he stops fighting you. So especially if you're playing solo, you'll get quite the benefit off of close range up, and I actually recommend it over any of the other ones, except maybe a 3rd reload assist. But the Karma reloads pretty damn quick, so reload assist does seem like a bit too much, but you definitely need at least 2. I would not recommend not having 2 reload assists on any bowgun, actually. So let's just move on to the 3rd build. The 3rd build is probably the most fun one, and it is a shotgun build. This build is focused on close range ammo cycling, basically, through all of your spread ammo. You essentially want to empty your clip, swap to a different spread ammo, waste your clip right there, and then swap to a different spread ammo. This build has a ton of damage, and is super, super fun. Once again, you'll notice that the armor is pretty much exactly the same. The main difference here is that this is the only weapon that we have modded out for health regen. All the weapons have had a different augment, so that's pretty cool, you know? It feels nice. This thing is a must to have close range up, and on this one, I would like to say go close range up twice, but the reason why I don't is because you will be reloading a lot. You have 2 shots in 2 of your different ammo types, so I really recommend having 2 reload assists. The armor is exactly the same. The only difference is that we have swapped out the piercing shots jewel for the spread shots jewel. I still have a normal shots jewel, and the reason why I have a normal shots jewel on every single one of these setups is because normal shots is actually not that bad, especially normal shots 2 and 3. You get a whole lot of them, and they are pretty good damage dealers. I really recommend not shying away from putting normal shots on your stuff, because you will get a lot of value off of the extra damage. I also want to make a quick side note here about critical boost in general. This isn't really a crit build. This weapon doesn't have any affinity, actually. It only has the 5% affinity from attack boost. It just has 15 affinity. Whenever we hit a weak spot, that'll jump all the way up to 65%. So you do have a decent amount of crit, but it is not a crit-focused build. The reason why I have critical boost on this is because of the health regen. On the gun itself, we have a level 1 slot that I've outfitted with a medicine jewel, which gives you recovery up instead of vitality. The reason for this is because this increases the amount of health you get from health regen. Whenever you shoot a monster with the multiple pellets from spread shots, you will be healing a lot. Every single pellet that deals damage will heal you, and if you crit, that means it deals more damage, and that means you get more health back. If you deal more damage by critting, and then your crits do even more damage, that means even more health for you. So this is a really bruiser-esque build and playstyle that, well, although it uses pretty much the exact same armor, having a weapon outfitted for health regen and then focusing on using your spread shots, just walking up to the monster's face and just emptying your clip on it to heal yourself, is really satisfying. Another quick note is that critical boost isn't really that huge of a thing on a lot of other weapons. A lot of other people give it a lot of praise, but it's not that amazing. I don't know if you guys know, but the wording on the skill is actually incorrect. It doesn't increase the damage of your critical hits by 30%. It increases them to 30%. Whenever you crit, you deal 25% more damage. This makes it so that you deal 5% additional damage, bringing it up to 30% more damage. So that isn't really that big of a deal. But if you're going to crit every single time, having 15% extra damage does make quite the difference. But I don't recommend this on any builds that won't have a lot of crit. I only use this on full affinity focus builds because it adds amazing value. The only exception being this one, even though it's not a crit focus build, because Weakness Exploit is pretty much a must, you will be critting quite a lot, and in turn you will heal quite a lot. So it's actually a pretty safe bet. Just wanted to make that little side note. Anyway, those are my builds. I really recommend you guys trying the shotgun one at least, and Volhazak can go eat a dick. So yeah, anyway, let me know if you guys tried out these builds. I hope you guys enjoyed them, and if you're just getting into light bowgun, I really recommend you try that one-size-fits-all build. If you're into bowgun and haven't really done anything with the health regen, really recommend you try this one out. It is a ton of fun, and yeah, that's about it. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.